All right. Think we will go ahead and get started. Welcome everybody to Family First Wednesdays. This month it is presented by Family Peers for Hope and Family to Family, the Montana Health Information Center. So this has been fun to partner with them. Um, my name is Beth Ayers, and I am a mom to two adult children with behavioral health challenges. I have provided family peer support services, um, and I am currently the executive director of Family Peers for Hope. Family Peers for Hope is a family-led run 501(c)(3) with the mission to develop and expand family peer support in Montana, providing hope, empowering families, building connections, and aspiring change. I want to welcome everybody here today. And just let you know really quickly that Family Peer Support Certified Training has been opened up for registration. Certification is now in place, and the certified training is we have two dates. There's a couple weeks in January that we're doing it, and then a couple weeks end of February, beginning March. So if you go to familypeersforhope.org, you can find all the information and you can register for training. We do have a limited number of scholarships available for anybody that needs those. All right, so this month's topic is Parks and Recreation. We have Austin with us today. He is the recreation specialist for the Billings Parks and Rec. He's going to talk to us a little bit about the different programs, particularly the Miracle League and Love Serving Autism, and some other things that they have going on, and kind of hoping not only to understand what's available here for our children and our families in Billings, but also kind of how we can get these programs across Montana. So Austin, I will open it up to you.
Yeah, thanks, Beth. First off, thanks to Kara for kind of lending the option here. I was really happy to accept this opportunity and speak with you guys today and talk a little bit more about how we've tried to get adaptive recreation and inclusion as kind of a bigger part of what we do here in Billings. And like you just said, Beth, hopefully to expand it even further across the state and kind of try to do our part to get up with the times nationally and kind of meet some standards that I feel like we need to improve on. I will be presenting this in conjunction with Chris Martin and Dan McKinney. I'll introduce all of us formally here in a second. We all work here at Parks and Rec, and they do as much work on all this stuff as me. And we're all, really big into this adaptive recreation and, really hoping to offer this to across the community and keep expanding it. We are presenting in kind of a weird setup here. We all share an office. So we got three computers going on. So anytime that we hop on a Zoom or a Teams call, it's always a bit of a interesting setup and dynamic we try to figure out. So we will all be presenting from the same computer. I'll speak for a little bit. Dan and Chris will have their bits to jump in on. So hopefully you don't get seasick from moving the computer around. But we'll do our best to make it smooth. Sorry about the audio technical difficulties there in the beginning. Not sure what that was about, but I've not shared a presentation in a while, so share, and I pick that tab. Okay, entire screen. No, share that one. Okay, and then, all right, go to slideshow from beginning. Okay. Is everybody able to see the presentation I've got up?
Yep, looks
Looks
good.
like we got it. Yep, everybody's thumbs up. Okay. All right. Okay. Um, so as Beth kind of mentioned, we'll be talking about our adaptive recreation programming and a little bit more on inclusion in general is something that we've really taken as an important part of what we want to do here in Billings. Touching on our Love Serving Autism program, Miracle League, a smaller program we've started that's called Adaptive Therapeutic Swim, and then some inclusion staff trainings we have started to offer to our summer camp counselors and other summer staff that we hire seasonally is what we'll be talking about today. So again, as I kind of mentioned before, presenting this with Chris and Dan, I'll have, by the way, at the very end, I will have a slide that's got kind of a list of some information that you can jot down for emails and contacts and websites and whatnot. If you guys want to wait on uh, putting down any of that information, I'll have all that up at the end as well. As I kind of mentioned, all three of us share the same job title. We are all recreation specialists here in Billings. Um, and just kind of a bit of a background on what we do. So, we do a lot year round. We've added it up and it's probably over 150 programs from January through December, really, that we're operating in. Very seasonal job. It changes with the season. Summertime, where we call ourselves the principals, we're managing camps and camp counselors, and we got a whole bunch of summer camps going on, special programs, sports camps, tennis programs, and then there's the whole pool side, which we help out with, here and there. But we've got a whole bunch of staff over there that help manage our lifeguards and concessions workers and all those people as well. So definitely a big pull here at Parks and Rec. We've got a lot of stuff going on year round. Um, not to mention just the programs we do. We are doing all sorts of other stuff. We wear all sorts of hats, you could say, through the year. Between hiring and training all of our staff, whether that be camp counselors, sports coaches, officials, specialty program instructors, the list goes on and on. That's just a very brief kind of overview of what we do on a day-to-day basis. So yeah. And then just wanted to share a little bit about some of the additional resources for you guys. As Beth mentioned, this is presented in conjunction with Kara over at Montana Family to Family. Like I said, I've kind of had lots of discussions with her, and then I'll mention Liz next with Montech. But lots of awesome stuff that they are doing that we here weren't even aware of. So we're happy to kind of start that relationship with her and kind of see how we can grow it and kind of combine some of the things we do and help kind of uh, offer some resources to some of the kids and families that we deal with here in the adaptive space and really kind of see where we can go with it. So that's a little bit about what Kara has to offer with Montana Family to Family. And then as I started to mention, Liz Keene as well. We had a meeting with her a couple weeks ago. Another program that I was not aware of, and I think our community engagement outreach coordinator had heard of Montech, but none of us had. So it was really cool to talk to Liz a little bit and see some of the fantastic technology assistance they can offer for all sorts of stuff that we do already that we could definitely improve what we do and offer even better stuff if we were able to utilize some of those devices and kind of adaptive equipment things that will really allow us to do more and offer even better versions of what we currently do. So another awesome resource for all of you out there, Montech. And then just kind of getting started, as I started to mention in the beginning, I we've talked a lot about how in Montana we feel like adaptive recreation and inclusion for those with disabilities really, at least to us in our department and what we see in our world. I get that's not what everybody sees, but from what we have kind of felt around the community is it's something that was really lacking. Um, this article, this is part of the National Recreation and Parks Association, kind of their some of their overarching goals and mission statements they have and part of what is important to them. And we are part of the NRPA. We go to those national conferences when we can. We'll talk a little bit later. We did go to one in Dallas a couple years ago that was really cool. Yeah, obviously, disability inclusion in parks and recreation, as this is kind of titled, is a very important piece of the puzzle, right? And what we've kind of found is that even though what our job title is said to do, which is provide parks and recreation for all, for the public, for everybody. That's definitely a huge piece that we feel like has been missing, and that we really wanted to start to focus on more in the last couple of years. So it's something that we take a lot of pride in, that we've done what we can, and we can talk a little bit more as we get going about kind of the pitfalls and some of the challenges that come with trying to run these inclusion programs when you don't have, an inclusion rec specialist or a behavior rec specialist, somebody that's more trained in that world, which we'll talk about more too with our inclusion training. But it is an area that, we definitely felt needed to be addressed here. And we wanted to do all we could to start focusing on that a little bit more, which is kind of what led into, well, I shouldn't do it in a timeline. Love Serving Autism was not the first program. That was actually Miracle League. Dan was kind of a big part of that before I got here. Actually, that was already established. But Love Serving Autism was kind of the second thing we brought in. But just a little bit kind of on Love Serving Autism as a whole before we get into a little bit more about how we got started and what it's all about on our end. But it's really cool. It's an inclusion therapeutic racket sports that's designed for kids and adults. And we get a lot of questions of, well, it's called Love Serving Autism, right? But if your child is not, or an adult, it doesn't have to be a child. We've mostly dealt with kids so far in this program, but you don't have to be on the autism spectrum to participate. We kind of run it like Miracle League does, and I know the national program kind of focuses on that as well. Love Serving Autism was just a name that fit and sounded cool, but really it's for any kids or adults with any type of disorder or they call it unique abilities. I like that term. Really anybody that wants to participate that otherwise might not be able to get involved in any other type of racket sport or just regular sports in general. This is a really cool opportunity for some of those kids to get started on something and feel a little bit more confident and trying something new and having a lot of fun while doing it. Um, I really liked learning more about kind of their mission and vision. They just have it worded really well. So I actually pulled these right off of their website because this is a program that kind of has nailed it, I think, on the head in terms of how they want to get more kids involved and how important they feel that this program is. It's really therapeutic is I think the biggest thing about this that I enjoy is not only are they developing the skill of tennis, but it's also meant to be very therapeutic in terms of helping them with emotional regulation and kind of expressing, maybe how they're feeling, communication, social development, all sorts of things that a lot of these folks might have trouble with in just in the real world in school, whatever other places they might normally be. This is a good opportunity for them to really work on all those skills, not just tennis. So how did we get involved with this program? So kind of just a bit of a happenstance, like it happened by chance, really. Was actually the gentleman that I took over his job, Brad Knutson. He had gone up to Kalispell, Montana, to work at Logan Health in the tennis world up there, and he reached out to us and let us know about this program, Love Serving Autism. We hadn't heard anything of it. Big national program that was really successful, mostly actually down in Florida is where it originally started. But he was running I don't know if he was running it or if he was just a part of that program that was being run at Logan Health up there in Kalispell. And he thought it would be a good fit for us here in Billings. And so he kind of put us in contact with some of the right people. I'll talk a little bit more, but there was a grant process we went through to get some initial funding to kind of get this program jump started. But to be honest, it was a pretty easy kind of transition to get Love Serving Autism going. Lisa, and I'm probably going to butcher her name. Luckily, she's not here to correct me, but I believe it's Puglier LaCroix. It's quite the name. She's the founder of Love Serving Autism, and being the figurehead of this program and having started it. And being a very busy person, she still took lots of time to help us get this program started. You could tell right from the jump that she cared a lot about, getting this program expanded all throughout the country. If you go look on their website, I'll have it posted at the end. They've got programs, like I said, all over the place, a lot in the Florida and down in the South, but they've expanded here in Montana. I know they're here and in Kalispell. I believe there's a couple locations in Washington, all over the country, really. They've got love serving autism programs kind of sprouting up all over the place. But Lisa was very helpful in kind of just giving us the rundown of the program. How do we get started? What are some of the things we need to really focus on if we want to do this? And she made it, pretty straightforward and black and white for us in terms of what we needed to do, how we needed to get it done, all the logistics of how to get our coaches trained up for it, the equipment needs we would have, just kind of all the questions you would have starting up a brand new program. She was an awesome resource to help us get that jump started. So this is where we can get into a little bit more of how you can really get this program started. Obviously, one of the first big important things is having a facility. And we're definitely limited here in Billings in terms of what we have for indoor space, which we can talk more about, kind of what the constraints were on that. But we felt that doing it indoors in the evenings, kind of during our off seasons in the fall and the spring or winter, was kind of our best bet to get this program to succeed. So luckily, we already had some connections with the Big Sky Pickleball and Tennis Center, formerly known as the Elks here in Billings, and they were able to kind of get us a time and day in there. And we have to continually check in with them about every season about what time and what day of the week kind of works for them because they're constantly doing other tennis programs. But figuring out where to host it was important. Getting the right coaches and volunteers in place was huge. I wish we could have had Riley on this presentation today. Riley Gilsdorf was kind of, to be honest, she's the only reason we have Love Serving Autism. She's awesome. She was the one who did all the trainings with Lisa. So in the beginning, she got an actual certification through Love Serving Autism to be able to coach and teach that program. Not very intricate, but requires a little bit of tennis background and obviously a love for working with kids and adults and really all age groups. It was important to have that, and Riley was like the perfect candidate for it, and she was already working with us and in the tennis space here, and she fit right in with it, and she's absolutely loved it. I know Kara could speak to more about how awesome she is as a coach and how much she's done for the kids. So getting her trained up. And then, she was also a tennis coach at West High. So she was able to kind of pull, and she's always been able to help us get coaches. But between her and then our other tennis coaches we have already working for us, we were able to find a few other coaches and volunteers to help out to keep the program going. The materials and equipment piece was pretty easy. Lisa had all that stuff kind of ready for us, and she was able to mail us some banners and communication sheets, that the big blow up ones where it's showing your emotions and communications and how are you feeling, like all sorts of really big displays that were easy for the kids to read and understand. The lesson plans, really all the resources we needed. Lisa sent us and kind of got us on track with that. Obviously it's important to be able to spread the word and try to grow the program. So that was something that was, that's been important to try to help keep it growing. And then we have done a few different fundraising opportunities in the last couple of years. We usually do some type of a pickleball tournament in the summertime where proceeds go towards the Love Serving Autism program. We'll talk a little bit more about it in a second, but it's really not a very expensive program, and it's one that's pretty easy to keep, to keep going. That we can keep the price pretty low, and we can keep it going without having to invest a lot of additional resources into it. So it was just kind of that initial startup charge cost, I should say, that that we had to deal with to get the program going and on its feet. And since then, we haven't really had to purchase a lot of new materials. It's mostly paying coaches, which Riley is the one that we have um, on our budget, and the rest of the coaches there are all volunteers. Just a little bit more about things to consider with this program. Um, like I mentioned, having a dedicated tennis professional is an absolute must. So as long as you have that person in place that, has a passion for the sport and, a passion for working with other people, and people with, you know, uh, that are differently abled, right? People that have a little bit higher needs and that might, need that 1-to-1 ratio or 1-to-2 ratio. So just being able to kind of be on their level is an important part. So as long as you have that piece in there, then that's kind of the most important thing. Equipment, a lot of it we already had. We had to make a few purchases, a few additional tennis balls and things of that nature, but not too much. Um, Location, as I mentioned, summer, an outdoor venue would be a possibility, but kind of with our schedule and how busy we are already, Miracle League kind of runs in the late spring and early summer, or sorry, late spring, early summer, and then early fall. That kind of takes up a lot of our time during that time of year. So, like I said, for us, it kind of naturally was a fit to do it indoors. Getting the kids away from the elements, I thought was an important piece of it too. I know with Miracle League, Dan can talk about it, but having the kids outside where it can get real hot or real cold or real windy or all those different factors can really play into kind of their enjoyment of the program. So that's why we went with an indoor location. By the way, that picture up there is a picture of Lisa. So that is the founder of LSA. As far as I know, most of what they do down in Florida is all outdoors. So they must have kids that just really are used to the heat and enjoy it. But they might do it early in the mornings or later in the evenings. I don't actually know what most other programs do. But like I said, for us, the indoor location was kind of the best fit. Um, the trainings, like I said, Lisa does a great job with all that. Um, Logistics and kind of the back end stuff wasn't too hard to do. We actually have our stuff that we have advertising Love Serving Autism is on our website, and so folks can sign up directly through us. There is also they have folks over at LSA, the national program, that will put your program up on the national website, and then you can look for different programs around the whole country. So ours is on there, so people can look at our program and when and where we offer it. There's links directly on there that will take them back to our website to sign up for the program from there as well. And then, like I kind of mentioned in the beginning, we were able to get a small grant from USTA Montana that was basically meant for adaptive programming in the tennis world. So that was really helpful for us to kind of get the program jump started and pay for some of the startup fees. Some other miscellaneous stuff. I forgot to mention t-shirts. So we do provide t-shirts. We've got staff and volunteer t-shirts, and then t-shirts for all the participants that they get to take with them, which is cool. So I guess that's the one kind of continual charge that we have is restocking all of our shirts every season, but that one's not too bad either. And the last thing I'll talk about here is just kind of where can we go from here with this Love Serving Autism program? As I mentioned, we got 2 seasons of it, fall and winter, and we're utilizing that indoor space. We are pretty limited in terms of that, whereas we really get one time in one day, a couple times a year that we're really able to get in there. I know in the summertime there would probably be more openings, but if that was the case, we would probably just want to go outside anyways. Kind of, some things we would want to expand on would be including another section of kids. Right now, we just do 1 hour, and we do it for 4 weeks. So it's a pretty short and sweet program. It would be really cool if we could expand it to having 2 groups or potentially an adult section. We did initially do the program with having an adult section as part of the plan, but we didn't have any adults sign up. I know during the fall and winter, a lot of those the older population that would be interested or potentially interested is probably doing Special Olympics or other evening things that maybe are too busy for them. So that was something that hasn't taken off yet, but we'd like to bring the adult Love Serving Autism back if we could get that going. Um, like I said, outdoor lessons could be a possibility. We'd have to think a little bit more about where we would have it. We thought about maybe at the Miracle League field that we have, just because that surface would be really nice. But again, it gets hot, and we'd have to bring a mobile court or a mobile net. A lot of other things to consider, but something we definitely could expand on in the future. And then, potentially some other one-off clinics or free events related to LSA, maybe just like a one-time thing or, something to try to get more people interested in the program that were without having to sign up. Maybe it's just a free event so they can try it out once. And if they like it, they can sign up, those kind of things. And then lastly would just be how can we get more volunteers? We usually do okay. Like I said, Riley has some connections and we've had some other ways to get volunteers, but we'd like to keep expanding on that as well if we can. And with that, I will let Dan take over. We will have time at the end for questions. So if you had any specific Love Serving Autism questions, we can chat about all that after we've all talked here. So I'll send it over to Dan.
Thanks, sir.
Yep.
Thanks, Austin. LSA, awesome program. They Riley's done a great job with it, and we just want to expand it and make sure that we can offer it more times. Again, like Austin talked about, the problem that we run into is just having enough facilities to be able to do it. Squeeze in with the weather. Miracle League and LSA are really tough to run in that regard. So we'll jump into Miracle League. Dan McKinney, Billings Parks and Rec. Been a rec specialist here for 5 years, and we just completed our 7th year with the Miracle League. Now it's kind of misleading because we run 2 seasons a year. So we started in 22, and I've kind of been, lack of better words, the commissioner for the last 3 or 4 years that we've been doing it. So a tremendous thing that we have going on in our department is a great time on a Saturday. Just full of joy and love and compassion for people and helping others. So it's really good. Miracle League mission is, to provide opportunities for children and adults with disabilities, regardless of their abilities. So everyone's welcome, all inclusive. And this is right off of their website. It's a national organization we'll get into in a second and explaining all that. They want to promote community support and sponsorship. So we wouldn't be here without Landon's legacy. I'll touch on them here in a little bit. And then community support buddies and volunteers that help us run the league. And then their mission is to promote the construction of special facilities. So it is a specialized facility. As you can see in that picture there, Homer the mascot. I don't know if this is true, but I think that's me in the costume. Not positive, but looking back at some old pictures, I think that is me. That opening day, we needed a mascot. So what do you do when you run the league? You let other people run the league, and then you jump in the mascot costume. So all hands on deck, if you will. But that surface is a rubberized surface, so we can get adaptive equipment on there and whatnot. So, and then that's the website. We'll have that at the end. National organization. Let's see. So a little history on the Miracle League and how it came to be. A Little League coach in Connors, Georgia, Rockdale Youth Baseball Association, started inviting anyone and everyone to play Little League. And what they were running into is on a normal baseball field where you have bases and, edges, getting adaptive equipment on there was a problem. And so there was a lady in that area that said, we need to design a field with big dugouts, rubberized surface so we can go everywhere, eliminate any barriers that we might have. And so they broke ground on the first Miracle League. It's a national organization. We're a charter member. And right now there's over 350 Miracle Leagues in Puerto Rico, Canada, Mexico, And I think they just announced that they are adding 2 or 3 more this year. So it's really designed around the field, the Miracle League. However, you could run a Miracle League type of program without the field. Are you going to have challenges? Yeah, there's going to be some challenges with that. Little League does the Challenger League, and they've actually started renting out our Miracle Field. So they run a league as well. So there's kind of two leagues in town that run, and they just use our field because of the rubberized surface that we have. So a little background, like I said, national organization. They're very supportive. They invite us out every year to Georgia for kind of a retreat. We haven't gone up to this point, but that is on our bucket list to get out there and meet other organizations. Everyone that we talked to going into this process, we stole everything that we do from them. So all the other leagues, we got on the horn and talked to other organizations. Some run Parks and Rec, some are privately ran. You name it. Every league looks a little different, if you will. So again, kind of our mission. Regardless of their abilities, everyone's welcome. And we were fortunate enough to have a great partner in Landon's Legacy, and I'll talk about them a little bit later on. But the field is designed to the rubberized. Everything's painted on. Everything's flat. The gates going into the field are much bigger, so we can get adaptive equipment in there. The dugouts are very big. They're very open. So it's a great setup. It's designed specifically for this, and it's been great. It is a time on a Saturday, I'll tell you that. When we're dealing with some rough things in Parks and Rec, you show up on a Saturday morning for Miracle League ready to go. It is very rewarding. As we talked about, long history with how this became public-private partnership with the city of Billings and Landon's Legacy Foundation. There was a young man in town that passed away, and his dream and love was always to play baseball. And so his family started an organization, wanted to raise money for the field. So they partnered with the city of Billings at Poly Vista Park. We had a kind of an open field there, and it's kind of a 3-phase process. First phase was the baseball field. And then we just completed phase 2, an inclusive playground, just opened a couple months ago. And then the third phase of that will be a splash pad. So they're continuing to raise money. They wanted nothing to do with running the actual league. So they said, you guys are the experts in, putting together the organizational stuff on the league and equipment and schedules and hiring and doing all that. So you guys run the league and we'll continue to raise the money. So massive thank you to Landon's Legacy for continuing to support us, and it's been great. So field was completed in the fall of 22. Like I said earlier, just completed our 7th season. We'll run two 6-week seasons, so one in the spring, one in the fall. Montana is not ideal for Miracle League. That rubberized surface gets really slick, so we have to be really careful with weather and trying to cancel games early enough. I know talking to a bunch of parents, they said it is much easier if you cancel on Friday night than us wake up on Saturday morning and disappoint some people. And so we've just tried to play weatherman and look ahead and kind of do that. We do have an adult game and a youth game. The adults, when we first started, our numbers were low enough to where we could put them all together and then and play about an hour, 2 innings or so. And then, of course, the adults are like, well, when do we get our own game? We want to play our own game. And so we said, we'll make that happen. So our adult numbers haven't grown as much as we thought maybe they would. However, as the youth start to get older, then they'll transition to the adult game. But right now, the Billings Parks and Rec staff plays a lot of the game against the adults. So that is a lot of fun. I've only sprained one ankle and torn one hamstring. So we're doing good. No surgeries yet. So for us, all equipment's provided. You just need to show up. So you really don't need a glove or pants or anything like that. We provide a jersey and a hat, and then we just have a big bag of helmets, tees, balls, bats. The balls are a little softer. They're actually made. The Miracle League does a really good job of partnering with people across the country. So we actually get our all of our soft baseballs from ADT. It's a company in Ohio. And then we get our jerseys from them as well. And then we do our hats local. But the Miracle League has done a great job of partnering with people across the country. Our website is separate from our normal BillingsParks.org website. And so that was a partnership that the Miracle League created for all their charter members to be in. So it's been really good. And then we provide buddy shirts as well. So as you can see in that picture, tee and then all the kind of the helmets that are stacked up there. And then everyone that's in yellow that you see is a buddy just out there volunteering. So couple American Legion kids out there running a home plate. Game day, we've tried to create just a real feel of a baseball game. So we'll do a check-in, we'll do dugout assignments, we'll announce starting lineups, we'll line up, do a national anthem, and then the coolest part and their favorite part is walkout songs. We do a walkout song, announce their names. They love that. It gets a little chaotic for Chris when they come up to us, 3 seconds before they're to hit and they want to change their walkout song. That's chaos and pandemonium at its best, but it's fun. And then we just play music throughout the game. And there's a lot of dance parties. There's a lot of music going on. It's pretty fun. The rules that we have down there are just kind of adopted. Everything is adopted either from other Parks and Rec or Miracle Leagues around the country, or Miracle League itself, the actual organization. But everyone bats each inning. All players are safe. There's no outs. Every player scores a run, before the inning's over, and then the last hitter hits a home run. Now that's kind of a lie because we have very few rules. So if you want to cut corners and don't touch all the bases, you still score. If you want to inside the park home run, you're good. If you want to hit and then run out the gate and you don't touch any of the bases, you still are safe and you still score a run. And we're starting to get a few young young kids that pay really close attention to the scoreboard. So that's been fun. But yeah, it's been great. And then just trying to get community children and volunteers to serve as buddies to assist the players. The buddies are really there to keep everyone safe, interact with them, engage with them. Our goal and our hope is that the parents can sit in the stands. They can feel comfortable with the buddy out there with their child or an adult, and then they can sit back and be a parent. And then obviously each team and each player wins every game. So as we talked about earlier, we have our buddies in yellow shirts. We're pretty lenient on kind of the rules. We would prefer somebody that's 16 or older. However, if it's a family friend, if it's a little brother, the picture on the bottom there is a younger brother. That's his buddy, and I think he was like 9 or 10 at that point. So anyone that the family feels comfortable with, we're going to allow them to jump in. Cousin or something. Any community member that doesn't have a tie to any of our athletes, we would prefer 16 just to make sure that they're doing the right thing and they're being safe, they're having fun, and they're protecting the player if they need it. So our goals in all this is safety, fun, and just talking to the parents over the years, we've really turned it into a therapy session. And what I mean by that is when we first started, I'm kind of running home plate, pitching to them if they want to be pitched to, or they can hit off of a tee. I'd get the ball ready for them. I'd get the tee set up, and we'd be ready to go to keep kind of the flow. And then we started talking and observing, and I said, you know what? We need to give them flexibility and autonomy to make choices and to be able to go. They can do it. Let's let them play the game. And so They get announced by Chris and they get their walkout song. And, now it's to the point where it's like, okay, go get your bat and then go pick out your ball. Go put it on the tee and then we go from there. So it's worked out really good, and I've had a lot of conversations with parents. They're like, "This is really a therapy session." They have to learn to wait their turn. They have to learn how to stand in line for the national anthem and shake hands and do all that. So, and then our last goal is there's no rules. Anything goes other than safety. So we've had players that want to umpire. We've had players that want to pitch. We just kind of roll with everything. So you never know what you're going to see at the Miracle League. Organized chaos is kind of what we call it, but it is a great time. Um, and then as you can see in some of these pictures, that rubberized surface with all the lines painted on there, and that kind of that picture in the middle with Homer. That adult just hit a home run, and then we do have a scoreboard in the back too, as well. So flagpole, everything that we need is out there. We've got ADA accessible bathrooms, 2 bathrooms on the back, and kind of a chase room and equipment room, a concession stand area, and then the playground is just on the other side. So this is just kind of a glimpse in what a Saturday might look like for a youth game. There's a bunch of people on the field, helping each other out, and it is a fantastic time. And just some more pictures as we go through here. And then we talked about volunteers helping us out. So we've been fortunate to have the MSUB baseball and softball teams come down. They're really busy in the fall. Obviously, springtime is their worst time because they're traveling and playing in their competitive season. So this was, I think, 2 years ago. They came down for a day and got to buddy up, and the athletes just love that. We've had MSUB baseball out. And so hoping to continue that relationship and getting more people involved, more teams and whatnot. So this is just one example. And I'm really glad they showed up that day because those trees in the back had blown a bunch of leaves and debris on. So if it wasn't for that softball team, we wouldn't have had a game that day. They got the field cleaned up in a timely manner. So, and then this is what we just broke or just completed, I guess, not broke ground, but just opened back in August, the inclusive playground. So the field in that bottom middle picture, that the field is just up at the top, and then the playground is back there. So these are just some of the features and pictures of opening day. A great event, very popular. We've been to the Miracle Field to clean up and do some things, and playgrounds, packed on a Tuesday, pretty full on a Tuesday at noon or so. So we're really excited about that. And then the third phase of it is going to be a splash pad that's going to be there. So we're not done with that project. And then that's just one park. I know having conversations with Landon's Legacy, they'd like to expand to other places in Billings, and so we're excited about continuing that partnership, and it's been great. So I believe that's the last slide. Yeah. So I will leave you with that for Miracle League, and I'll turn it over to Chris Martin.
Hello, everyone. Chris Martin, rec specialist here. Been here for this is my 7th year. So we've kind of come and gone through a lot of programs, and are happy that these ones are the ones that are the up and coming ones that we've been excited about. Something I'll kind of add: we were a little worried about the playground at the Miracle League field, that the kids were gonna go directly there instead of playing the game before going over to the playground. But I took it as a compliment that they were still excited for the game and could wait until they went over to the playground. So that was a good sign. I feel like that was a good sign that we're doing a good job with the Miracle League games. One of our new programs here that we're trying out this last year was an adaptive therapeutic swim. Kind of our idea behind it is that we run our swim lessons before the pool opens at noon. So we kind of do those swim lessons from about 9 to noon. we run them Monday through Thursday so that our pool managers get a Friday morning to kind of prep for next week's swim lessons and schedule lifeguards and all that good stuff. So with that kind of downtime on that Friday morning, we thought that would be a good time to maybe offer this program, an adaptive therapeutic rep, swim. Reason being is, sometimes the pool has hundreds of kids and music, and it's kind of chaotic and can be intimidating and not the best time to want to go try your hand at swimming. So with this, it's much quieter, it's calmer, there's far less people there, and it gives the opportunity to try out some swimming, and we have some lifeguards that are trained to help out with this group of kids. So and it's a very low cost to us. We've kind of messed with the what are we going to charge, a $1, $3, $5, or maybe a pay what you can amount and stuff like that. And we usually don't do any kind of like sign up or registration. It's just to show up and we'll go. So it's a kind of a cool thing. It's a little bit tougher in the summer. This is in the morning time, so it's not really conducive with working families all the time. So we are trying to mess with ways to how we get more kids to come in here. But yeah, so that's kind of where we're going with this program. Like I said, we just kind of started it last year, so we'll have some ideas to move into next year of how to keep that going. So that kind of moves us into our inclusion training, which is kind of the thing that we wanted to talk about. So we have our Love Serving Autism and our Therapeutic Swim and our Miracle League, and those are great programs for these kids. But as Lisa here, who I'll introduce you to a little bit more, would say, that's kind of the first step to inclusion. What we want to work to is, how do we just include everybody in everything that we're doing? That's where our end goal needs to be. So the inclusion training is great. Down in Dallas, Texas, 2023, we went to the NRPA conference where Dan met Lisa. She was giving a presentation, and we saw an opportunity here, and we learned more about her consulting firm Merge, where she does all sorts of trainings and stuff for in our case camp counselors and stuff like that. This way we can utilize the kids that we are hiring to be camp counselors, give them an extra training session on how to use all these tactics and stuff to help make a space that's safe for everyone, and how to use the time that we have. So we have an 11-week summer camp program, and it's very fast and furious. We don't have a whole lot of time to do training. So this was really crucial to getting started. I'll kind of show you what Lisa offers here. I'll kind of flip through these slides if you want to read them, and I'll kind of explain a little bit more of what we do with Lisa. We kind of use these topics, and we customize our training based on what works with what we're offering. We kind of, based on the type of program, the expectations and duties that we have of our staff, and kind of how much time we have to do this training. We kind of worked out that we have about 2 hours to really kind of hammer on this stuff and really try to get it done as quickly as possible. Lisa is great at really customizing this and bringing it down to a 2-hour session. So it's fast and furious, but there's a lot of good stuff in here. She does a great job of learning our department and kind of what we have going on, and customizing it down. Before our first training with our staff, we had about 3 meetings with Lisa to really kind of go over the material and what we were going to present to the kids, what it looks like, the content that she's going to provide. And she does a great job of kind of utilizing like how many staff members are going to be in attendance and watching this, and what kind of breakout activities would be the best to do with those kids, and kind of customize it to situational stuff that would happen at a summer camp. I'm gonna go to the last one here. She's great. She offers to come directly to you to do the trainings, or she does these all via Zoom, similar to what we're doing here. We chose the Zoom option. It's a little more cost effective. We don't have a huge budget, so but she's done a great job over the last 2 years of like even honing it in a little bit more and a little bit more. And she is a very she promotes like basically us becoming atomic, what am I trying to say? But autonomous in doing this training going forward. So after 3 years, she's really trying to make sure that like after that third year, we can have all this programming and training, and then we can do these trainings with our staff ourselves. So that's kind of what we're working to after this next year and stuff. Um, One of the other things that we have here at Parks and Rec that's of value is our registration system has something called ePact, which is basically a way for families to go in and add add customization to their kid, a little more in depth about who they are, things that they deal with, and basically ePact's been great to help with this too, because the parents have a way to go in and tell us what works for their child, so that when we have something going on at a camp and we have a blow up and we don't know how to deal with it, we can grab our iPad, we can pull up the kid, and we can look at notes directly from mom and dad of like they need some isolation, they just need to regroup, they need whatever they might need, we can provide it for them. So yeah, it's really been a really great resource, of trying to make programming that we do inclusive to all. So it's of course a lot of challenges, but I think this year, like, it was probably one of the best years we've had for camps. Lo and behold, when you learn this stuff, you actually learn that something somewhere in here you're going to be able to apply it to any child, um, and help their experience. So it's really been great. So she's a very great resource to look into. So yeah, some contact and links and information if you guys want to write those down. I know we're coming up on our time here, so I want to make sure we have enough time for questions. And then, of course, feel free to reach out to us anytime if you have any questions on that. And with that, we will open it up for any questions from you all.
Thanks, Chris and Dan and Austin. I will also have the video recording. We usually put it up on Zoom within the next 24, 48 hours. So if anybody needs any of this information again, we will have a recording. Yeah, we have a few minutes left. Are there any questions? Feel free to just unmute and ask.
Hi, this is Gina Lytle, and I'm really excited to see an accessible park and all the programming that you have. Um, I'm sorry that I wasn't able to make it for the whole meeting, but I'm just wondering, um, how many other communities in Montana have something similar to this? I know that Missoula has an accessible park and a pretty active parks department, but um, how did you guys find the need and get started?
Well, thanks to Kalispell. Kalispell started Miracle League probably 2003 or four. I believe they've been going for a long time. And then as Austin mentioned, when Brad moved to Kalispell and he found love serving autism up there. So thanks to Kalispell, we stole both their ideas, just sharing ideas. And then with Miracle League, we really lucked out with Landon's Legacy, and they approached the city. This was probably 2010, 11, 12, somewhere in there. And they started fundraising and getting the money for the field. And, we partnered with them on the parking lot and all that. And I think their plan is to expand to more parks, more playgrounds, splash pads and whatnot. So I think that organization, that foundation is going to continue, and we're going to continue that partnership. So I don't know if that quite answered your question, but thanks to Kalispell, shout out to them. We were able to partner and get that information, and then just doing a bunch of research and reaching out to people. We talked to Miracle League in South Carolina. We talked to a Miracle League in Minnesota and Arizona. They partnered with the Arizona Diamondbacks. We could partner with the Billings Mustangs perhaps, but we don't have that luxury anymore that they're not affiliated with Pro Ball. But that's kind of how we got our start. And there is a plan. I'm not aware of any other Love Serving Autisms or Miracle Leagues in the state of Montana other than in Kalispell.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know.
You're welcome.
Probably have time for one more question, and then I would assume that the email's up here for all of them, that they'd be happy to talk to anybody that wants to reach out after this.
Yeah.
But we probably have time for one more question if anybody has one.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, I just want to say thank you guys so much. I've learned a ton. I really appreciate your just being proactive, your compassion and your passion for, including folks in Parks and Rec. I think that it's really exciting to see what you guys are doing and kind of looking forward to the next programs that you guys bring. I hope that other Parks and Rec across Montana can get a hold of you and really expand their own Parks and Rec programming for everybody. So thank you guys so much for being on. And like I said, this will be up on our YouTube page within the next 24 hours or so. And I just hope everybody has a great rest of the day. Thanks again, Dan, Chris, and Austin.
Yes. Thank you,
Awesome.
Beth. Appreciate it.
Beth.
Thanks so
Thanks,
much.
everybody.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.